Well, welcome back everyone to another spearfishing video. Now, it's been a little while since I've been out, and me and Gav have just put down a burley, and immediately we've got some blue cod coming in. So I'm going to make a dive and have a look at what's going on down there. Now, touch down to the bottom, have a bit of a look around. There's actually a nice one there that I might think about having a go at. I line him up and miss. Looking at that slowed down footage, I actually had him lined up properly, but he dodged the spear right at the last second. No matter, I'll reload because there's plenty more to choose from. As we head down to the bottom, you'll notice quite a lot of blue cod in the area, just feeding on the chunks. As a new spearo, it's very difficult to determine the size of the fish, so I was being very picky on if I was going to shoot any of these, because it's pretty hard to pick legal size. So for the moment, I'm going to put the gun down just to see if anything bigger swims in. And I'm going to go under a rock and see if I can find a crayfish. So I'm just heading down into this kelpie area to see if there's a ledge that might hold a few. And as I get down under here, it looks pretty good. And looking up, there we are. Quite a few crays sitting in this little hole. So I'm going to go in there and look for the biggest one. And managed to pull out a nice one pretty easily. And by the looks of that, it's my first legal crayfish.
Little piece over there, there's a crack that goes up and there's probably 15 in there. Nice. And there'll be more too. Yeah.
Moving on to the next patch of rock, I go for a dive down to see if there are any crays under this one. Moving along the bottom, I'm just looking around, seeing what I can see. Nothing on the right hand side, and I turn around and it looks like there's nothing, but then there's 4 sitting on the roof. And I go for a grab and accidentally pull the horns off one of the smaller ones at the back, so I leave them be. Now that I've waited a while, a few more blue cod have come in, and there's quite a good one in amongst them. There he is, just going past there. Let's hunt him down. So this blue cod turns straight around to come and look at me and bumps straight into the spear, probably thinking it's food. He then turns away and I track him down with the gun and shoot him straight between the eyes. This was my first blue cod, and after measuring, he was 40 centimeters, so well over 33. I shook out some more burley to see if I could bring in another big blue cod. So just heading down on another dive, there's a few more cod sitting there, but nothing that's really standing out to me. One shows up just here that I thought about, but he's not quite large enough for me. Lots of them sitting back there, but nothing really big. So I'm going to head back to the surface. put the gun down again as the blue cod had started to thin out, and I'm going to go look for a few more crayfish before moving on to the next spot. Just heading down here onto another patch of kelp with broken fowl in amongst it. Nice red moki sitting there, so good sign for a little cave possibly. Had a look there, nothing sitting underneath that crack. But there's a few kinner on the top of this rock, so I'll grab a couple of those while I'm down here. So after that nice little session in that area, we head out to look for a couple of butterfish at a different spot. There's a couple there off in the distance, but I can't quite close the gap in time. I spot Gav's float boat going past upside down, so I head over quickly to flip it back over before his fish fall out. So the next few dives is just exploring a few guts to see if there's anything hiding in there that I'm interested in shooting. I roll through this one and there's a heap of sweep and butterfly perch sitting out the other side of it. Pretty awesome little spot. So over the top of this rise I've spotted a few butterfish, so I'm going to head down right onto the rock, sit there and creep my way forward to see if I can shoot one. The shot was very low, so I rushed to get him into my hands before he can escape. Starting to feel a little bit nauseous in all this surge, so I'm going to do a final couple of dives to see what's down there and see if I can secure one last fish. There's a few butterfish out in front of me, quite a few actually, at least 5 or 6, but none of them are really close enough in this current for me to line them up. With the body not liking the really surgy water, we decide to head into the shallows to look for a final couple of crayfish. Heading down into less than a metre of water, I find this big buck sitting between these two rocks. And I shove my hand in there and try and wrestle him out. By some miracle, I managed to get him.
Woo! Got a claw on me. You know.
This guy was a proper one, so he barely even needed measuring. After those final few crays that weren't quite legal size, I headed back to the boat, pretty happy with how I'd gone.
He's got up a weight. Nice. I'll get a couple of photos, eh?
Righto team, just come out with Gav again today, he's on the camera, and managed to pull my first really good size cray out of a hole, just in pretty shallow here. Managed pull them out, blue cod on the spear, so pretty happy. That's my first one of those.
Nice bluey.
Pretty selective with picking the right one over legal size, and managed to get a butter as well. And after being pretty sick this morning in the swell and not being so happy, yeah, sweet as.